Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and already felt tired of a day that hasn't even started yet? Before your feet touch the floor, your mind is racing. Bills, deadlines, that awkward conversation from yesterday. The to-do list that never seems to end. It's like your body just woke up, but your thoughts have been running for hours. For many people, the first thing they reach for is their phone. News headlines, emails, social media. Within minutes, the mind absorbs stress, comparison, and urgency. Without realizing it, the mood for the entire day is set before breakfast. Morning stops feeling like a fresh start. It feels like stepping into a battle you're already losing. The truth is, this experience is more common than we admit. It doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means your mind has learned a pattern. And patterns, when repeated daily, become automatic. The first thoughts of the day matter more than we think. They quietly shape how we see everything that follows: conversations, challenges, even small moments of beauty we might otherwise miss. But here's the question. What if the way you wake up is shaping the way you live? Now imagine someone who seems to have everything in place. A stable job, a comfortable apartment, a loving partner. From the outside, his life looks steady and secure. Nothing dramatic is wrong. No major crisis. No visible failure. Yet every single morning, he wakes up with a quiet sense of dread. His first thought is not gratitude. It is pressure. Another day of work, more expectations, more responsibilities. Before getting out of bed, he scrolls through his phone. He sees other people's vacations, promotions, celebrations. Slowly, comparison creeps in. Even small victories in his own life start to feel insignificant. He tells himself he will feel better when he earns more, when he gets promoted, when things calm down. But that when keeps moving further away. Nothing is dramatically wrong with his life. The problem is more subtle. Over time, he has trained his mind to scan for what is missing instead of what is present. Even good news struggles to break through the fog of his expectations. The routine repeats. Wake up, scroll, compare, worry, rush, and little by little, dissatisfaction becomes his default setting. The outside stays the same, but the inside feels heavier every day. Over time, the people closest to him begin to notice. His partner sees it first. The sigh before getting out of bed, the distant look during breakfast, the way even small inconveniences feel like personal attacks. One morning, she asks a simple question. When was the last time you actually felt happy to wake up? He pauses. He searches his memory and finds nothing recent. Maybe when he was younger. Maybe before life felt so serious. The realization unsettles him. How long has he been moving through his days on autopilot? Then she says something that lands harder than she expected. You act like life is something you have to survive, not something you get to live. That sentence stays with him. Later that night, lying awake, he replays it in his mind. He begins to see that the problem may not be his job, his schedule, or even his circumstances. It might be the lens through which he looks at everything. Awareness is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Sometimes change doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with honesty. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt genuinely grateful to wake up? If you can't remember, you're not alone. Comment 1 below if you're ready to look at your mornings differently and take back control of how your day begins. The next morning, unable to quiet his thoughts, he decides to do something different. Instead of lying in bed with his phone, he steps outside. The air is cool. The city is quieter than usual. For the first time in a while, he notices the stillness. In a small park nearby, he sees an elderly man sitting on a bench, gently tossing crumbs to a group of birds. There is nothing extraordinary about the scene. No dramatic music, no life-changing speech. Yet something stands out. The man is smiling. Not the polite kind of smile people wear in public. A calm, natural smile. The kind that suggests peace rather than performance. Curious, he sits down beside him. After a moment of silence, he asks, "How do you look so content?" The old man chuckles softly. "Happiness isn't something you find," he says. "It's something you practice." The answer feels simple, almost too simple. But it lingers. They talk for a few minutes. The old man asks what his first thought was that morning. When he admits it was stress and obligation, the man nods knowingly. "You've been training your mind," he explains. "Every morning, you practice worry. After years of practice, you've become very good at it." The idea is uncomfortable, but also freeing. If negativity can be trained, maybe it can be retrained. The old man reaches down and picks up 2 small stones from the path. One is dark, the other is light. He places them gently in his palm. "Your mind is like a garden," he says. "Every morning, you plant seeds. If you plant worry and complaint, that is what grows all day. If you plant gratitude and awareness, that grows instead." The metaphor feels simple, but it lands deeply. He explains that for more than 20 years, he has followed the same morning ritual. Before touching his phone, before thinking about problems, before stepping into the noise of the day, he writes down 3 specific things he is grateful for. Not general ideas like my family or my health. Specific details. The sunlight warming his face. The smell of coffee filling the kitchen. A child smiling across the street. Life is happening in small moments, he says quietly. But most people are too distracted to notice. Attention is powerful. What you repeatedly focus on becomes your reality. When you begin the day looking for what is missing, you train your mind to keep searching for lack. When you begin by noticing what is already good, something shifts. Not outside, inside. The old man hands him a blank notebook and makes a simple request. Try this for 30 days. No dramatic promises. No complicated system. Just 3 specific things every morning, written down before touching your phone. The first few days feel awkward. He stares at the blank page, unsure what to write. I woke up today. My bed was comfortable. It feels forced, almost meaningless. Part of him wants to quit. His mind whispers that this won't change anything. But he remembers what the old man said. The mind resists new training. So he keeps going. After a week, something subtle begins to happen. During the day, he catches himself noticing small positive moments. A quiet commute, a kind email, a moment of sunlight through the office window. Not because life suddenly became perfect, but because he knows he will need 3 things to write down tomorrow morning. After 2 weeks, the shift deepens. He starts appreciating moments while they are happening, not just in hindsight. His circumstances remain the same. His job is still demanding. Responsibilities are still there. But his attention is changing. And attention changes experience. If you've ever said, "This won't work for me," comment 1 below. Because sometimes the smallest daily practice creates the biggest internal shift. By the second week, the change is no longer just an idea. It becomes visible. One afternoon, during a tense meeting, he notices something he would have ignored before. Sunlight casting soft patterns across the wall. For a brief moment, instead of tightening with frustration, he pauses. The meeting is still stressful. The deadlines are still real. But that small detail interrupts his usual reaction. On another morning, he writes about the sound of rain against the window. Not because it solved his problems, but because it felt calming. He begins noticing small acts of kindness. A coworker bringing coffee, a stranger holding the door, a quiet smile from his partner across the table. The world has not dramatically changed, but his perception has. By day 25, something unexpected happens. He wakes up a few minutes before his alarm. Not from anxiety, not from pressure, but from anticipation. He actually wants to write in his notebook. That is when he realizes the transformation is real. When he returns to the park on day 30, he tells the old man that nothing external is different. His job is the same. His responsibilities are the same. But he is not the same. He sees differently. And that has changed everything. The old man listens quietly as he describes the changes. Then he gently reminds him of something important. The joy was never gone. It was buried. Buried under years of practiced negativity. Buried under comparison, pressure, and constant mental noise. The gratitude practice did not create happiness from nothing. It uncovered what had always been there. He explains that this is not a 30-day challenge meant to end. It is a way of living. Some mornings will still feel heavy. Some days will still bring stress and uncertainty. Gratitude does not remove difficulty from life. It changes how you stand inside it. You cannot control every event. You cannot prevent every problem. But you can decide where your attention rests. And attention shapes experience. When you focus only on what is missing, life feels incomplete. When you begin to notice what is present, life feels fuller, even if nothing external has changed. His story is not unique. It reflects anyone who has spent years chasing a better future while overlooking the value of the present moment. The shift is simple, but powerful. Change your attention, and you quietly begin to change your life. The story does not end in the park. It turns into an invitation. Tonight, before you go to sleep, place a notebook and a pen beside your bed. Not your phone, not your tablet. A simple notebook. Make it the first thing your hand reaches for in the morning. Tomorrow, before your feet touch the floor, write down 3 specific things you are grateful for yesterday. Not general statements, not vague ideas. Specific moments. The taste of your coffee, a quiet drive home, a message from someone who thought of you, the comfort of your pillow. Small details matter because life is lived in small details. Do this for 30 days. Not perfectly, just consistently. Some mornings will feel easy. Others will feel forced. That's normal. Remember, you are retraining your attention. This practice will not remove challenges from your life. It will not magically fix everything overnight. But it will begin to shift how you see what is already there. And that shift can change everything. If you are willing to try this for 30 days, comment 1 below. Let this be the moment you decide to wake up differently, starting tomorrow morning. And now we arrive at the most important part. The choice. Every single morning, before the world makes demands on you, before notifications pull at your attention, before stress begins to build. You are given a small window of control, a quiet moment that belongs only to you. You can wake up the way you always have, reactive, rushed, already behind. Or you can pause for 5 intentional minutes and decide what you will plant in your mind. The truth is simple. You may not control traffic, deadlines, other people's moods, or unexpected problems. But you do control where your attention rests. And attention shapes experience. When you train your mind to look for what is missing, life feels like a constant deficit. When you train it to notice what is present, life begins to feel richer, even if nothing external has changed. The power is not in grand life overhauls. It is in small, repeated rituals. 5 quiet minutes. 3 specific moments. 1 consistent decision. You don't need to change your job. You don't need to move cities. You don't need a perfect life. You need a different beginning to your day. And tomorrow morning is your next opportunity to choose it.